of all, on behalf of Ginger and all of our family, we're so grateful for everybody being here today and supporting us through all this. Before Dot shares a few family remembrances, I wanted to take a minute and just share almost a miracle of sometimes the way God works to kind of bring his kids home. Last Saturday morning, I wasn't planning on being with my brother to play tennis. As most of you know, Jerry had a heart attack on the tennis court. He and I had just finished playing a set and felt tired, so he said I could go sit down for a few minutes. Then we saw he had fallen and ran over to him. He was a little bit out of it at the time. But, began to pray over him, and he began to come around. And he was alert then. He said, Jerry, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I want to have a great night of nutrition. So we all taught that in our Catholic faith. That's just what you do. So we did that. We prayed together. And he was praying with me. So when I think of the playing with him that morning, I tell you, he won the match. He finished the race. He's with the Lord. He's in heaven. I said I wasn't planning on being there. I really wasn't. I played Saturday morning with Jerry for almost a year and a half. And we had spent Thursday together down in Cincinnati watching Federer and all those guys play tennis. We had a great time together. Ginger, some time with us. We just had a great time. Kind of inspired me to play Saturday if I could. So my schedule got kind of messed up Friday and Saturday morning, but I was going to do it. God kind of worked it out. I got to work in the very ministry. I ended up being there, and I'm so grateful that I was. So I want to share that with you. Hopefully, inspire you. That's the way God does things sometimes. He did that for us. So now Doc's going to share through our family remembrances with you too.
And we're so grateful for all of us there. What a gift. Jerry was the second child born to our parents, the second son. Their first son had died shortly after birth, 17 months earlier. So our parents decided that if they were blessed to have another son, they would name him Gerard after the patron saint of mothers. It was not a name that Jerry would have preferred to have, which is why he always went by Jerry. Jerry's youth was full of fun and mischief. I'm using that kind word, mischief. And our neighborhood was full of children of all ages. Jerry apparently had so many run-ins with the boys in one family that the police banned him from the adjoining street. He was banned from Cloverdale Avenue. So Jerry would ride his bike just to the edge of the sidewalk on Cloverdale, and he would hold court. His buddies would come and meet with him, and then they would decide what adventure they would do for the day. Now, Jerry and Tom Henretta met on that idyllic block when they were 4 years old, and their friendship has endured 65 years. In fact, I guess Jerry kind of roughed him up a little bit at first just to let him know that he was the king of the neighborhood, but they became fast friends. I was fortunate enough to be at Jerry and Ginger's house last Sunday when Tom and Vince Lavella and Pat Thompson and Chuck Teeter came to give some comfort to Ginger and to share their experiences that they had with Jerry. There was a lot of boldness among these guys. The huge trunks on the cars in the early 1960s allowed one person to pay at the drive-in, while 2 or 3 others often crawled in and stashed themselves in the trunk until they got past the admittance gate. Or one might pay admission to the Highland Theater. Meanwhile, other people, their other buddies, were waiting at the exit door, so they would sneak in behind the curtain and open the door and let the rest of them in. Pat said that he and Jerry often got stuck with the 5:30 Mass at the convent, and that's 5:30 in the morning because of some of their little transgressions. Vince said they would go to Clear Lake in Indiana in the winter when the lake was frozen and connect to recall their boyhood fun and revel in what they had done all those years. There was a lot of laughter. Jerry's wife Ginger smiled and laughed with his friends and concurred with their thoughts on his competitive nature, because the night before he died, they had a lawn mowing competition to see who did better at mowing the lawn. When I asked her for input, she wrote this brief tribute about the roughly 20 years she has spent with him. My life with Jerry was full of love and fun and was always exciting. Every day he created an adventure out of the simplest part of our days together. The man I knew never had an ugly thought about anyone. He found the good in situations. He had a very calming and understanding way about him, and he could turn a crisis around with a skilled resolution. Everything he did with excitement and passion. He played hard, worked hard, and loved lots. He lived a happy and fulfilled life and was very compassionate. He was a brilliant entrepreneur and achieved so much by following his dreams. Jerry and I, and Ginger, shared a love, a friendship, and a sincere bond that I will always share, and I will always cherish the fact that I loved him and was loved by him. When I was speaking to all our family members this week, we shared so many memories and stories about him. I remember when I was a little fun. When I was in kindergarten, he had a dog, Spot, and Spot had a black car. I can still see Dad driving away with Spot and Jerry in the car, and Jerry was just sobbing. Spot recovered physically, but was very mean when he came back to us. And so Dad took him away one day, and we never again had a pet. Our mother said she would never go through that again, and we could all get our own pets when we grew up. And everyone but Terry and I have pets. Susie remembers going on boat trips in Florida when they went to the Keys. Jerry was very proud of the boats he owned. Some of them were bigger than others. But on one occasion, they went to a restaurant, and when they were done eating, they saw that Barbara Mandel's huge yacht was parked right next to Jerry's. They could barely see Jerry's boat. So Jerry turned to her and said, "Susie, remember, someone always has a bigger boat." It's the phrase we've used so often since then, and it was a reminder of how quickly one can be humbled. Martha mentioned the respect and care he always gave to our mom, but it was especially apparent as she became caught in the throes of advanced Alzheimer's. He visited her nearly every day at the local Alzheimer's facility where she spent the last 2 years of her life. Toward the end, she did not always know all of us, but she seemed to consistently know him. Loretta told about the appreciation for the talent of LeBron James, which I think Jerry kind of believed he discovered, because he would just say, this guy is really going to go somewhere. So at one point, Loretta had season tickets. So on home games, she would get a phone call. And hey, it's your basketball-loving brother. And hoping that she had a ticket for him. Terry has beautiful memories of a trip to Florida many years ago to his home, and with Aunt Dorothy and Uncle Louie, and they got a ride on his boat, and it's New Year's Eve, and they had champagne, and it was Dom Perignon, her first class ever, Dom Perignon, and she was tipsy after one glass. Cousin Molly said her sons mentioned how they looked to Jerry as a role model for how to create a business. He seemed to know what the market needed and capitalized on that. Our nephew Jeremy's wife Amanda sent a really sweet email noting that he was so kind in welcoming her to the family. She said, "Most families do not have the bond and togetherness that the Wilson clan has, but I can tell you, most people want it." The love his children had for him was so sweet to hear. Carolyn, Lisa, Heather, and Jill had comments that all carried a recurring theme. He was fiercely protective, yet he did not meddle in their lives. He thought they should all know how to drive a standard transmission vehicle. He respected their privacy and their feelings, but he was open to giving some advice if needed. He encouraged them in their studies and in their careers. He helped Lisa with her senior project in college and got her to start playing tennis. He bought groceries and shoveled snow for Carolyn and drove to Pittsburgh to get any assistance to Heather that she needed. Jill said he was a rock and he helped her so much. They loved his sense of humor, but they didn't always agree with his idea of fun. The famous Miami story then came up in the discussion. One day when Carolyn and Lisa were in their early teens and Joel was about 3, they took what was supposed to be a reasonable boat trip to Miami. A 3-hour tour. The boat developed problems, but instead of turning back, which seemed to be the more prudent decision, Jerry forged ahead looking for somewhere to dock and get the boat repaired. The only food on the boat was mustard and bread, so they made mustard and bread sandwiches, and Jerry just thought this was great. They finally arrived at a dock after being on the water all day and into the early evening, limping along in the blazing sun. The girls remember the trip as being horrible because they were hungry, sunburned, and seasick. Jerry remembers the trip as one of the best trips they ever had. Apparently, because they all survived. And the big thing, though, was they were all together. And that was what was most important. He passed on an appreciation for Krispy Kreme donuts and Swanson's from his children to his grandchildren, and regular exposure to these products appeared to be a hallmark in their relationships. Ben and Jerry made ice cream, but grandson Ben and Grandpa Jerry made an excellent delivery team with their mattresses. He rollerbladed with the older boys and would even beat them on the tennis court on occasion. He enjoyed having movie nights with Josh, but in reality, he really did focus on just being present with them. Grandparenthood gives us a second chance to enjoy our children just by virtue of their presence, and gives us another opportunity to practice that unconditional love for which we may need a refresher. The core of Jerry's being remained the same throughout his life, but he underwent some significant lifestyle changes that began about 20 years ago when he and Ginger decided they were meant to be together. We all feel Ginger's influence gave him many more years of life, and we appreciate her tremendously. We are also thankful that Paul was with him at that last tennis match, and we all feel God truly did send him. Preliminary findings reveal that Jerry had blocked arteries and an enlarged heart. Well, we know he had a big heart. We are. The preliminary report on those of us who are left behind is that our hearts are broken as well. We are hoping his sudden death will provide an impetus for everyone out there to be more diligent about their health and well-being. So many people have said, if you need anything, let us know. I think I can speak for all of us when I say that it would help us if Jerry's death would not have been in vain. If even one more early death could be prevented, if even one person said, I'm getting some preventive testing, it would help tremendously to ease our pain. I would like to close with the beautiful words of William Wordsworth, although I changed a few words because he said grieve not, and I believe grieving is very important. I was a counselor, and I believe you should handle healing. I think it's a necessary part of healing. What though the radiance, which was once so bright, be now forever taken from our sight, though nothing can bring back the hour of splendor in the grass, of glory in the flower, we will grieve, and then we'll find strength in what remains